Hello, it is March 1st, 2025. I feel like I'm getting a cold, which sucks. So I sound a bit nasally. I'm gonna try to make this video. I received a really great comment from my last video where I'm talking about like how I changed my mindset, especially over like the last maybe 4 or 5 months. And it really made me think what happened and what did I do differently. And I've watched a lot of manifestation videos, and I think something clicked in my brain this time than previous years. um you know, Before, when I was younger, it was super easy for me to just manifest anything, um because I lived kind of in that state of mind, like, of course, like, I don't know, some random crush and when I was younger likes me, like nobody else compares. No, yeah. Everything was just a lot easier. And then life happened. And there was lots of trauma with relationships and whatnot. So, and like, I manifested getting into my, like, what I thought was my dream job until it became my nightmare and I quit. And so here I am in a totally different field than I've worked in, and probably, I think this is the longest I've ever been single. Um, like 5 years. It's been 5 years now. And before, yeah, I don't know. Nothing really scared me before until like it was kind of, I think both the job and past relationship thing kind of like burst into flames. And I haven't really been the same since, which is a great thing, actually. I didn't see it at the time, or it was very hard for me to see because I was still felt like I was just in the mud with dealing with those things. Toxic job, toxic relationship. I knew both weren't for me, and I put that in the past, and eventually am kind of doing my own thing now, which I like and I don't mind, actually. But yeah, there are like instances where, like, if you have not watched my channel before, I met somebody, I guess October of 2023. He lives in a different country. I don't necessarily know if this is the love of my life, but I really enjoy this guy's company. I think he's a solid match for me. But the problem is, we don't live in the same country. And I've never done long distance. I don't think he has either. I don't really necessarily know if, like, next summer I'm gonna fly over there to see him, and like vice versa. Everything's kind of up in the air. And yeah, I think the old version of me would, well, not even the old version of me, the version of me last year where I wanted and put so much pressure on things to be a certain way, kind of just made things a lot more challenging for me. For example, like, pretty much all of last year, especially the beginning of last year, I was looking for jobs in the same country as where this guy lives. Not only because he lives there, but because, like, that happens to be one of the other dream jobs that I had in mind. And I had 2 interviews, whereas before, like, I would rarely get interviewed. Like, I wouldn't even get an email saying, like, sorry, we went with another candidate. It was just like complete dead silence. So last year, when I got the 2 job interviews for a company in Rome, I was like, holy shit, this is happening. Like, this is gonna happen. It has to happen. And like, it had this thing with this guy that I met like a couple months ago who happens to live there. Like, it has to happen and it has to look a certain way, and like, I'm gonna get the job and I'm gonna move there and it's gonna like be what I envisioned and more. And I put so much pressure and time on like having those things, and then when it didn't happen, or like when time kept, like, I got a rejection email from the job interview. I was like immediately crushed. So I felt like I was just kind of like swinging. So I was just like super positive and like in such a great mindset. Then I got the rejection and I was just like doubting all the things and just questioning, is any of this stuff real? And how come it's not happening to me and everything's happening for everybody else but not for me? And I kind of went back and forth like this all of last year until probably October, because at that point I was unemployed. I was employed, but it's a like part-time thing, and I wanted, that dream job at that in the dream location, and it just like kept prolonging. Like, I still have not heard back from the other interview that I had, but it has been like 8 months now, so I'm feeling that it's not gonna happen. Like, but at the same time, I'm just like, if it's in the back of my mind, I'm like, if it's not those two jobs, then it's another job, and I'm still gonna keep applying for jobs there because that's ultimately like where I want to go and what I want next. Because I think, like, I grew up my entire life in Virginia and I did the whole thing here. I just want to be in another environment, and I can't really see myself in another place in the US permanently. So I think for me, being in a different country, different continent is a good thing. But yeah, I think like having that in mind, like, for sure, certain, like, I'm not gonna spend time and energy applying for jobs that are here in Virginia when I don't want to stay in Virginia. I want to be in another country. So I think I was super focused on, Italy, and there's only so many jobs in the field that I want to be there. So then after, I got the rejection of the interview and then like got completely ghosted from this other interview, I was just like, you know what? Screw it. Anywhere in Europe. Or even Asia. I was looking in Asia too, but there's not many availability there. So I kind of like opened up the scope and then I really buckled down and got serious about like what kind of role do I want to be in, because I was kind of miserable in my previous role. It was like heavily focused on like Excel data sheets and like writing reports, which is fine, but it felt very mundane and repetitive, and I felt like I couldn't be myself. Like, I was just hidden behind a computer all the time, and I'm much more like happier when I'm engaging with people, communicating, being like social media, doing events, that sort of thing. Stakeholder engagement. That is more my jam. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna expand my scope again. And I know like it doesn't have to be environmental projects and writing reports. I can actually forget about that because that's not what I want, and I'm gonna be more open and look at like startups and communication roles in that, and looking at jobs in Europe. Like, I just broadened the scope because I was just like, you know what, I will figure it out. I just need to like jump into something and then like make my way around. And I don't have like some vision where I'm like, I have to be a CEO by a certain time. I don't even think I want to be a CEO. Like, I'm just like, I just want to experience different jobs. And then, I don't know, when I was talking with my sister, she's like, still keep applying for those things that you want, but like, you should also apply for jobs locally. And then once you hear back from the job that you actually want, just leave your current job here, whatever. But like, I was paying for insurance out of pocket and it was super expensive, as well as like not having a steady paycheck was affecting my credit score and whatnot. So I had to scramble, and eventually I'm in the job that I am now. But yeah, I just kept telling myself, like, okay, just broaden, like, stop focusing on that particular job in that particular location with that particular guy, because I can't control anything. I was driving myself crazy trying to make it happen and trying to like force a conversation between me and him, or force a move, or force a job opportunity. And I was like, this isn't like serving me. I feel more frustrated by not getting like that exact result, when like actually I need to think in a different terms, that like I take whatever opportunities in front of me, and then I like life will find its way. Either maybe I talk with somebody and they know somebody and that will push me through, or like, I don't know, just kind of thinking more like, okay, maybe this is not what I envisioned at the moment, but eventually that things will work itself out, and things are always working out, and this isn't supposed to be like a punishment from, I don't know, my spirit guides or something. I had that mentality last year at this time, that like, if I don't get what I want, which is like this particular dream, then I'm being punished. I never thought I wasn't worthy or deserving of those things. I knew I could eventually get in, and I still think that way. But I was just like, kind of like, all right, well, maybe it's just not the right time. But there was still a part of me that didn't want to give up. So I'm still applying for jobs there, but I kind of like release the tension and like focus on like, let me just apply for this one place at this one location and hoping things work out with this guy. I'm keeping all the doors open. I would of course love for that to work out, but like, I'm just gonna go where the wind or where the universe takes me, and eventually it will lead me to somewhere beautiful and better than I imagined. And trust me, this is not like a light flip, no, switch flip, I don't know, whatever. It took me a lot of practice to get to this moment. But, I just channeled kind of this version of me that first is deserving and worthy of having everything that I want and more, but like, that I'm not being punished if things don't work out the way I want them to, and that like the current circumstances don't mean anything at all, and to keep not to give up, I guess, to persist in things I want, but let go of control of it. But yeah, I feel like I had more to say, but I am just not in the right mindset at the moment. Maybe it's just clogged, I guess. But yeah, I also, what I did differently to kind of grow my mindset is gratitude was a big thing. So because I'm driving to work all the time now, whereas before I was like not working, right? So I was constantly home. But on the drives, I kind of talk out loud in my car. I'm not gonna lie. sometimes I'm like, you know what? As soon as I start my car, I'm like, today's gonna be a great day. It's gonna be a very chill day at work. Like, I'm gonna get a sale and um kind of like even like say like 10 things I'm grateful for in the car, especially on the drive home, because that's when traffic is the worst. And I'm just like, you know what? Actually, like the other day, it actually wasn't a bad traffic day. I don't know how that happened, but I was just like, you know what? Number one, I'm grateful that I get to drive to work and I feel safe in my car. Because before I was take like public transportation, which was a mix of good and crazy. And then I was like, I'm grateful that I don't have to commute all the way into Washington, D.C. And I get to actually, the commute's not bad. And then number two, I'd be like, I'm grateful for being able to bring my lunch to work and bring healthier options. Whereas before, I would go crazy and just spend on breakfast, spend on a snack, spend on lunch. Yeah. So it's like small things that I wouldn't normally pick up on unless I actually sat and thought about it. But yeah, on the commute home, I have all the time in the world to think about these things and to like put on a podcast or put on, sometimes I don't want to listen to anything, no music, no podcast. I'll put on like some Tibetan flute music because I can't listen to nothing in the car. So that kind of gets me in a mode and makes me feel relaxed. And then, yeah, so I guess being open to new ideas about my manifestations that help, letting go of controlling the outcome of the manifestations, having it like putting this pressure on myself to like make those things happen instead of just like relaxing and knowing that, yeah, those things will happen. I don't really need to stress or be upset about it. And then expressing gratitude. What else? Oh god, I feel like I had more to say. I might make a part two, but yeah, that is, I think, the top two